Internet, welcome to 2.5 Brains. This is our amazing race season 34 coverage, talking all about breaking it all down, talking about what happened. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss anything. We have our Survivor stuff. We have another politics show coming out soon, and some more sports stuff as well soon. So be sure to subscribe so you don't miss anything. You can like our Facebook page, facebook.com, Paper Road Productions on Facebook. Email the show directly, paperroadproductions@gmail.com as well. Subscribe right there, share the post, tell your friends, and we'll go ahead and dive on in here. You can get all the updates and everything when we do get it out. Obviously, Amazing Race, we just finished watching it a few minutes ago. They got to stop doing this hour and a half, 2 hours stuff here. 1 hour for one show, 1 hour for another show. So we start recording around 10 instead of like 11:30. But I digress. Let's go ahead and bring in Jessica here. Jessica's here, excited to talk about the Amazing Race with us. Jessica, how you doing?
I'm dandy. How are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. You were rooting pretty hard there at the end.
I mean, I wanted to see more.
Yeah, they're entertaining. They're definitely an entertaining team. We'll talk about it. Obviously, there's going to be spoilers as always. We're talking about what happened in the episode. So if you missed it, obviously, go back and watch before you finish listening to our show. Obviously, we'll go ahead and get started here. We're going to rip through what happened and then do our power rankings at the end. So be sure to subscribe, see everything I said, and we'll go from there. What else? I feel like there's something else. Oh, yeah. So obviously, disappointing week overall in the last couple of days. Let's say last 4 days or so has been very disappointing. And this was a capper to it. Definitely a little disappointed to see it happen that way. But let's go ahead and start off, Jessica, with any initial thoughts you had in the episode.
I want to go to Austria.
Yeah.
I'm part Austrian down the line, so I thought it was exciting to see that. It's beautiful there, and I don't know, it was an interesting episode, and hearing basically polkas and all that and all, it was all in my wheelhouse. I was dancing.
Oh yeah,
tippy tapping
and singing a little bit too.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
Oh yeah.
Now let me ask you this. I think the biggest thing of the episode it was maybe bad driving. Honestly, yeah. Three teams went the wrong way, at least partially. Yeah,
or just knowing where you're going or paying attention to, you're going to a different country, not a different part of that country you're in right now.
Yeah, for sure. So, definitely want to go ahead and start with the actual stuff that happened in the episode. We'll start with the Roadblock, right?
Roadblock, yep.
What happened in the Roadblock?
Hey-dee, oi-dee, hey-dee, oi-dee. They yodel. The yodeling.
Yeah, so how was that?
That was exciting. They had to yodel. They learned 3 different songs. They had to do the movements with the songs. They had to milk the cow. And then they swayed. And I don't really know all the others. I just know everybody kept talking about how they were milking the cow in the right timing. Mm-hmm. But, learning a different language can be hard for some people, and learning and listening to see how the pronunciation is and everything, and just the beat of the music and saying the words and all of that. So some people struggled, some people picked up on it very quickly.
Yeah, for sure. It was obviously a task that one person can perform, as Roadblocks are, and some teams did really well. I liked the line from Claire. She said she's rhythmically challenged or whatever, and she's she had tone deaf. I've never been diagnosed tone deaf.
Derek said, I'll diagnose you right now. You're tone deaf.
Exactly. That was quite funny. Mm-hmm. They were the first team, in the first group. I don't like how they're doing groups still. I think it's a COVID thing where they have to kind of limit the number of cameras and they have more self-driving, some of that for the COVID sake of it. This is what they've been doing really since they returned from last season. They had more of that stuff in it. So they're leaving in groups, which I don't really love. I like when they could leave in the order they got there, but either way. So the first group got there, and they're their second last ones to leave. So
yeah, well, they were the first team that got there too. I
right,
think.
Yeah, exactly. The first group and the first team to get there, and then they were second last to leave.
Correct.
So
they couldn't get the yodel down.
Yeah, no, it was interesting. It was definitely an interesting challenge. It was hilarious watching Rex Ryan yodel. Mm-hmm. Trying to yodel, it was quite hilarious.
Exactly. So. Say when I say hey-dee, you say hoi-dee, hey-dee.
Hoi-dee.
That's funny.
All right.
I would have learned more of the yodel.
Yeah,
exciting.
You've been right up your alley. I said you're the one who's musically inclined. I'm the one who pretends to be good at sports. So.
Yeah, you're the muscles and I'm the music.
All right. Anyways, let's go ahead and move on.
Okay.
What's next?
Detour, bells ringing versus partner swinging.
Yeah, so Detour decision is bells ringing versus partner swinging. Mm-hmm. What was that about?
So bells ringing is there were bells on the table that they had to play a song with. Basically, it would be either two bells at the same time or one, and then one person did one set and one person did the other set. They have to do it together while there was an accordion in the background keeping the beat and, performing the music together with your partner.
Yep.
That looked like fun. That reminded me of back in middle school. We used to have a bell choir.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember that in school. Yeah. So that took me back to that stuff. So that was pretty cool to see.
And what was the other one?
Other partner swinging. So obviously you can tell it's probably dancing from that. So they were dancing. It's just I would say an Austrian polka dance. They had to learn the choreography and perform with 3 other groups to the music and, stay on beat. And it was like a stomping thing. I forgot what they said it exactly, but it's just like an Austrian stomping. I would say polka because it reminded me of the polkas, which is exciting.
Yeah, it was like a polka. Yeah, there's some stomping and slapping on their knees and spinning and all kinds of interesting stuff. I would probably do the bells one. You probably would rather do the dancing one, but I don't know.
I probably did the bells too, but I mean, I could do the dancing one. I think the bells would have been easier.
Yeah, I think so too. I said if having to move only a couple muscle groups instead of all of them, for me, it would have been a lot easier.
I mean, they both have to do with rhythm and beat, though. So either way, if you don't have rhythm and beat, then you're not going to get either of them right away. Huh?
So I'm screwed either way is what you're saying.
Yeah.
You could have done yodeling, and that would have cost us on the bells. Okay.
Or dancing, yes. Either, yes.
Cool. Anything else on the Detour decision?
No, I don't think so. I mean, people struggled, people did well. That's,
Yeah, there's a couple teams who danced. I mean, the one girl's a professional dancer, the other group's a pair of dancers. So they did really well. Then there's also
the cheerleaders.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So they did well in
People
that.
played to their strengths, basically, for this stuff, and it worked out.
For sure. Cool. Anything else?
No.
Obviously, a lot of the dating couples did the dancing too, and then the one girl was a cheerleader, the Sharik, and she said she taught her dad all of her dances and everything.
Yeah.
So they did that as well.
Right.
But
Yeah.
I think most teams did the dancing. I think the bells would have been a little easier, but obviously we'll talk about.
Couple did the bells, couple did dancing, but yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So what is next?
Who got eliminated?
Yes. Who did not make it through? Who's at the elimination station, Jessica?
T-Rex.
Yeah, Team Tim and Rex.
I know when we first recorded, I said they weren't going to make it past the first episode, and since they did, I wanted to watch more because it's funny. Even though he didn't take the Bills to Super Bowl, I can appreciate seeing him on the show and maybe not hate him as much as I might have once.
Yeah.
But, they're entertaining. They struggled. They were older. Well, he was older. They weren't the youngest ones there, and him being a sports background, they're not dancing or rhythmically inclined, so that stuff was kind of difficult for them to do.
Yeah, it reminded me a lot of Jimmy Johnson on Survivor. He, had a couple good weeks, but ultimately just, not that he gave up necessarily, but he just, Jimmy just didn't need the money, didn't really need the aggravation, and they got rid of him, and that was it. I kind of feel like a good thing about it is when you have fun, you don't take it too seriously, you do better. But I think they kind of went a little bit too far in that regard. They're just kind of like, hey, we're here. And obviously they wanted to win because they're competitive, but they just had no musical ability at all. I mean, really bad. The yodeling, really, really bad. The bells, they weren't going to do any better dancing. They just didn't, they had no rhythm at all. And it went to all musical leg. It's really not going to be good.
Yeah, and I don't know if they were just, putzing around the whole time, just having a good time. I think they were still kind of competitive about it and trying to compete, but like you said, they don't have musical bone in their bodies with that stuff. Not to say, I mean, at least with what we saw, they don't have musical inclination. And I don't know, they live in Tennessee. They said they lived in.
Yeah.
Okay, so they both live in the Music City, and they're not good musical, but that not everybody has that too.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I said, I mean, it's, I'm not, why did they not make it? I mean, they took. I think it took Rex 7 or 8 times to do the yodeling and then 10 times to the bells. And they knew that the teams, and not for nothing, but the teams who were right behind them in the race were like the dancers, right? So they knew that they were going to catch up there. So Rex realized that. It's like, well, we got to do the bells because the teams who are going to dance, they're going to catch up, they're going to dance. And maybe, they didn't want to have 2 guys dancing because they would have been picked on by their friends. And obviously they went out early, so they're going to get picked on by their friends either way.
Yeah, but I don't think they have the rhythm to dance that stuff, and they obviously know that.
Yeah, and not for nothing too. I thought Phil was gonna cry when they got eliminated. Like I haven't seen Phil that upset in a long time.
Yeah,
He really wanted them to maybe didn't want them to necessarily win, but
no,
he wanted them to go farther.
We wanted to see more. We wanted to see what they could get into.
Yeah, and I said Rex should do more. He's entertaining as hell. He's not necessarily a great coach, but he's very entertaining.
Oh no, he's not the best coach.
But he's very entertaining. So
yeah,
and like I said, and they were fun together. They they did a good job, and they didn't do too bad driving. I think
I would say it was kind of an odd pair, but it was also almost like it was like a father-son pair to me.
For sure. And they did okay. They weren't in best physical shape. When it comes down to it at the end of the day, when you got to outrun another team because it's close, it's not going to happen.
Right.
So I think that's what happened. I think that's what went wrong. Unfortunately, I definitely enjoyed it. I know you did too. I enjoyed having on the race, but unfortunately,
yeah, grimy after they made it out of the first one.
Like I said, I didn't think they'd go out first. You did, but I thought they'd go like 4 or 5, and you thought they'd only go 1. So you actually were closer.
I was closer. They didn't last long enough, though. I would have wanted them to go more. And I can say why I wanted another team to go because we'll talk about it in a little bit.
So let's go ahead and move on. And obviously, we'll talk about who didn't make it. Mm-hmm. We'll talk about now the power rankings of the now 10 teams remaining, and maybe a couple double legs or to be continued leg, which they usually do. But there are no non-eliminations. So there's either it could be 10 weeks left. I really don't know, it's 8 weeks left. But there's probably a couple continuation legs. So we'll see.
2-hour episodes.
Yeah, for sure.
We're not getting away from long episodes from anything. I
hope so.
I want to go to bed by 10:30.
Yeah, me too.
But anyways.
But we could do. We can always go to like Colorado and go on mountain time. They'll be in bed by 10:30.
That's not gonna work.
Because anyway, the show will be over by like 9:30.
Yeah, I understand.
Or 8:30, and then we record and we're done by 9. Anyways,
it doesn't work this way.
Okay.
Then I gotta go to work. How are we gonna get home? We're gonna fly back home.
Well,
I can work there. Yeah, you cannot.
I know.
But
anyways, so let's go ahead and talk about the power rankings. Top 10 teams. Obviously, all 10 teams left in the race. Who is number 10, Jessica?
Team Fairy Dust.
Yeah, Team Fairy Dust.
Yeah, Dom and I don't remember.
Dom and Rich.
Rich, yeah, there you go.
Big and Rich.
So, I think they should have been penalized in some way for her forgetting her hat because they obviously didn't pay attention to the detail on the card. They should have had something happen at the last, the Roadblock? No, Detour. Since she didn't have her damn outfit. She was supposed to wear it the whole time. You should have been wearing it when you were performing the stuff. That is what I have to say about that. That's why I feel like they should be last also. But I think they should have went over T-Rex. But,
yeah. I mean, the penalty was they had to go back and get it. But they did say you had to wear it the whole time. So the fact that they didn't wear it the whole time.
Right.
They couldn't check in without it. But that's not really what they said. Like, it's like saying, like...
It said you had to wear it the entire leg.
Yeah. It's like for example, when they have to take the travel acid and roaming gnome. This episode was Expedia, which is interesting. Mm-hmm. They usually do Travelocity. Maybe that contract is over. But they had, like if it's like the roaming gnome, you have to just keep it with you, and you have to check in with. You can't check in without it. Right. But an outfit is something you have to wear. Mm-hmm. Right. So like it's a little bit different. Like so if it's their gnome, they have to go back and get it. So if it's their outfit, it's like you're supposed to wear that.
Right.
So it's kind of a little different. But
I know it's just a hat, but it's the point. It's a part of the outfit, and it should have just been there the whole time. They should have made them go back and do the bells. Yeah,
or the people with the bells shouldn't have let them do it without it, whatever. But
either.
I think bottom line.
Sorry, really, I'm sorry.
Bottom line, I think I mean them having to go back. I think having to go back and get it at least was enough punishment. I guess what can you do?
I guess.
But
I can complain. That's what I can do.
Yeah, for sure.
I can root for my other team.
Yeah, for sure. I think they're really not a good team. They don't seem to have any chemistry at all.
For as positive as they are, sometimes I feel like they're trying to convince themselves that it's all good, but they're not feeling that it is, but just convincing themselves that it's fine.
Yeah. They're it's an affirmation, not incantation. That's what Tony Robbins says. Yeah. Affirmations, I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy, and you just pretend to smile. Mm-hmm. Whereas incantation means you actually embody it, right? And I think they're way more affirmation than incantation. But I think again, there's been other teams similar to this team. There always kind of is a team similar to this team, I guess. But they really take to the extreme of like, I feel the earth and the sun. It's like, all right, well, I'm gonna play the race. You do your earth and sun shit over there, okay? Like it's just really kind of annoying. But anyways, that's them. They're not good. They're not gonna make it too much further. And I'll be happy when they're gone because they're really annoying, really really annoying. And her loud hair almost cost her the race because she didn't wear the hat.
Yeah,
And then
it kept getting in the way when she was trying to read the music for the bells.
Right, and also not for nothing too, but like she was kind of like Rachel Rileying it a little bit with like maybe the race supposed to be fun again, but she was like instead of that she was more like, but I think I lost my hat. Like I think it fell off like when we were running.
It's like it's not what he said though, so go find it.
Right, and I knew she left in the car. It was obviously she left in the car.
Oh yeah, she was just trying to convince him. Like it's a rule. That's the rule. You can't talk your way out of it with the host.
Phil said, okay, fine, 4-hour penalty.
Well, right.
And then they lost.
Yeah.
But like he's like, well, and it was like, yeah, that's what I got. She was kind of like trying to talk Phil out of giving her the penalty.
Yeah.
It's like that's,
oh, but we're already here. I don't have to go get the hat. Yeah, you do.
Yeah, and that's it was very
I think you should have said that. I think you should have said, well, if you lost it, you can either go find it or you can wait here and have a 4-hour penalty. And after 4 hours, I can check you in.
Yeah, and then they ended up getting the hat, and they were 8th when they were going to be 8th. They ended up being 9th, so didn't miss out much. But either way, but they're 10th on our list because they're terrible. They've been near the bottom every time. They've barely survived every time, and I think they got 1 or 2 legs at max left.
Yeah.
Who's next?
The cheerleaders.
Yeah, and it's hard putting them here because they had a really bad leg, but it wasn't the driving. They probably would have been actually a lot. They probably could have finished like 4th or 5th because they did really, really well. They got through everything pretty quickly. They just did really bad driving, like real bad.
Well, yeah, I mean, they weren't even that far behind, I guess, from the beginning because they went 10 minutes down the road in Germany still instead of going to Austria, but I don't know. After that, they still got lost. And they got stuck in traffic, too, so that didn't help them also.
Yeah, for sure. So they said they're here. I really didn't want to put them here because they're just, they're better than that, but they almost were out. So you got to take that into consideration. They finished, second last this one. So, I mean, I think they're better than that. I think they're a solid team, honestly. But they just had a really bad leg, and we'll see. They had a pretty good leg the first leg. They had a really bad leg the second leg. We'll see kind of where they end up in the middle. If they end up being kind of the middle of the pack, I think it's kind of where they're going to be. I think they're going to be more of like a 5, 6 most of the time. Maybe 7th.
Yeah.
But I don't really see them getting above 5. I don't see them getting below like 7.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. I can see a lot of the teams being around in the same area, though. A lot of them aren't bad, except maybe our winner picks.
Yeah, they're definitely. I see this team and the other dance team and the other one with the dancer. They're kind of all the same to me.
Yeah,
all the dance teams are pretty much the same to me at this point.
Yep.
Which takes to the next person.
Yeah. Aubrey and David, number 8.
Yeah, and again, they did okay. They got a little bit lost. They did decently well in the challenges overall. But
the yodel, where everybody struggled pretty much with the yodeling. So
yeah, and they started off kind of behind, and they finished kind of the similar spot. So they really didn't move much.
I mean, they honestly weren't on the episode all that much because half the time I wasn't sure where they were. So.
Yeah, no, for sure. They finished. They left yodeling 3rd last because the cheerleaders got their way late. Yeah. But of the people who were all there at the same time, they were 2nd last. So.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Mm-hmm. So moving on to the next team, number 7 will be my winner picks, Michelle and Luis. So they kind of struggled a little bit too. They got lost initially. They were going in the wrong direction. I think they said they were going north, but they were supposed to be going south to where they needed to be. And then another team was actually following them that turned around before them. They made it pretty well once they realized they were going in the wrong direction, and they got to the yodeling, and Michelle did pretty well with that. And then obviously they picked the dancing for their detour, so that went well. And they did okay.
She said something about, I think she was the one who had a compass. Said compasses are hard because your rows are turning, but the compass stays straight. It doesn't matter.
Like, oh, you're weaving, but the compass moves, so it'll always point north no matter which way you're going.
Right.
But yeah, I know.
And also keep in mind, I know navigating is hard, but geography helps. It's not the answer. Like if you're trying, I want to go from New York to California. Where do I go? You go west, right? It's like I'm trying to go from Germany to Austria. You go south.
Yeah.
Like, if you're going north, you're wrong.
Right.
You know, like, just knowing that will help a little bit. So, they were going 2 hours north, and they had to go 10 minutes south. So,
Yeah, I mean, what did I say while we were watching? I can't imagine the people that are on the show because no one uses maps anymore. Everybody has a GPS. So, like, in order, you reading a map is a lost art that many people don't know anymore. So, to see these people actually working it out, I mean, all the power to them that they can work it out. I can read a map, I can figure out where I'm going, but there's so many people that have no idea.
case in point, Shriek and Linton. We'll talk about them a little bit here, but she doesn't know how to read a map. She said she's never traveled without a smartphone.
Right, exactly.
And if you're in another country that doesn't have, that technology, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
But thankfully her dad can read a map.
Yeah.
Speaking of teams, next, who's next?
Number 6, Abby and Will. So they were the ones that were following Michelle and Luis and realized before they did that they were going in the wrong direction, turned around, went the other way, and then pretty much killed most of the stuff. I mean, the yodeling, I think it only took her like 2 times to get that, and then they actually did the dancing, and that only took them twice to do that too, and they got through it pretty quickly.
They have really good chemistry. They're a good couple. They're doing well. My only real, like I said, I could probably see them going even higher than this as well. 7, that might be a little low for them, but my only fear for them is they're from Alabama or Louisiana, I think, right? My only fear for them is I think they have very little sense of direction. I really think if you just kind of like throw them out, because they're following that team, had they known better, how to navigate themselves, they would have just driven on their own, and then they follow the team in the wrong direction. So I feel like, if you leave them up to kind of like their own devices, I think they're gonna probably head to like France instead of like Germany, and they'll say I make the joke of we're going we're going here, and the sign says we're going there, and it's never we're trying to go to if you just keep driving, eventually we'll hit Miami. But if you're or you hit the ocean, you're trying to go to Indiana from New York, and you keep going, you'll eventually we'll hit an ocean. But it doesn't mean you're where you're supposed to be, in other words.
I mean, I don't necessarily agree with that though, because I think if you see another team, you want to, I guess you're trusting that they're going the right way. I guess instead you should be checking to make sure they're going the right way first, but you don't want to waste time. You want to follow that team because you want to try and overrun that team. So they're just not slowing down enough to make sure they are going in the right direction first.
I think maybe that's more what I mean. I just feel like they have, if they do the challenges well, they communicate well. I just think that the actual like racing part of it, I think, might be kind of their issue.
Maybe. We'll see.
We'll see. But I do like them. I do like them a lot. They have a good connection.
Yeah. No, for sure I like them.
Who's next?
Number 5, Molly and Emily, the twins.
5 or 6?
That's 5. They were 6.
Oh,
You're
okay.
in the wrong order. You're not listening to me, Linda.
Okay. I thought you said 7 for the last one.
No, 6 for Abby and Will.
Okay.
And then, 7 was Michelle and Louise. 6, Abby,
Okay.
Will. 5, Molly and Emily.
Yep.
Yes. So I love watching their story out of everybody because you get to learn about them and, you feel their emotion that they haven't known each other their whole lives, and now they're spending this time getting to know each other. So it's like, I feel like for them, the whole racing part is just whatever, but it's more so the stuff we don't see. They're looking forward to going to spend time with each other in a different country. So I think that they're going to do pretty well. They get along pretty well, and for not knowing each other, like, they don't really argue. They're both pretty calm. So I don't know. I like them too.
Yeah. So I'll say what I said kind of when we were watching together. I mean, I don't even know if they're that good of a team, honestly. They're okay. They're both in good shape. They're both smart. They both seem like they are decent at the race itself. I can see them go out 8th, 7th. I can see them go out 9th. I can see them go out relatively soon. But I would watch a TV show of just them traveling the world. Like I would. Somebody should give them their own TV show because they're so fascinating to watch that. Like people who are identical twins who have never known each other, and now they're experiencing what they would have experienced 30 years ago had they known each other. It's so fascinating. Like I don't know how good of a team they are, but I want them to go far because I want to watch them go through this race.
See, I really do think they're a good team because I think you don't expect them to do
That's
well,
true.
but they always do well, and they don't really argue
No.
even when they've had situations where they could, where they probably should be arguing. They're always super calm no matter what, and I feel like they hide that they're good.
No, I agree. I definitely agree. I can definitely see that for sure. I can definitely see that. I mean, you're a little higher than higher on them than I am, but I'm not that low on them either. And I said I'm enjoying experiencing the race
story.
with them.
Yeah.
For sure,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, agreed. All right, moving on to number 4, Linton and Sharik.
Yeah, for sure. And Linton and Shriek, again, they probably should be a little lower, but they had such a good leg this week. We had to bump up a little bit. I think they finished third. And they were a little bit lower the week before. But again, Linton has life experience. Shriek has the youthful exuberance, and it really does complement each other pretty well.
Yeah, for father-daughters, they're not arguing much or anything. And I know with myself and my father, when we're trying to do certain projects, things can get heated a little bit. So I give them credit that they get along so well with stuff.
They do. And like I said, last season, father-daughter team didn't really argue much at all. They just weren't great at the race.
Well, they bickered a bit more, though. You haven't seen it from them yet. I mean, we're only on the second week, so you haven't seen Linton or Sharik bicker with each other. But I mean, last season with Team Detroit, she would pick things that her father's like, I won't do well with this.
Yeah.
And like, she wasn't even taking that into account, which put them in a bad spot.
Yeah.
But this one, they could pick the dancing because, like you said, they said that she would teach her father all of her cheerleading moves and stuff. So he has that.
Yeah.
And he's Jamaican and has rhythm, let's be honest.
Oh, for sure.
So.
No doubt. And they said they definitely do well here again. It's one of those things where it's too early really to say, is the team good because they've had good, the dancing teams, are they really good because they had dancing, or they just get lucky they had dancing? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, are they that good of a team, or they just got something that was in their wheelhouse? It's the teams who find stuff that, like the Holdernesses were good at really everything. There was nothing that was like, that they really struggled at because they had life experience to pull on. They had, they had musical background, they had technology background, they had, all those things, and
he had super ADHD,
so they could focus really well, right? And all those things, right? So it's like, the teams who did really good in the dancing, well, they're dancers,
right?
It's not like are they really that good of a team? Well, probably not. They just had a good, it's like when they had a season where they had surfers who got a surfing challenge.
Yeah,
I was like, well, they did really well.
Your background, you're obviously
go figure.
Gonna do well.
Yeah,
right,
exactly. So this team, I don't know how they did, but I don't know how they're gonna do overall. But I think he's got a lot to show her, like experience and wisdom, and she's got a lot of youthful exuberance, and that does help. So we'll see how they do. But I think they're doing decently well so far.
Yeah, I agree.
What's next?
Number 3, Michael and Marcus, the brothers.
And they won
bros.
this race.
They did. They had a huge leg up on everybody, though. They were way ahead of everybody.
Yeah, they were. They got through everything pretty quickly. Yodeling did well. They kind of struggled with the bells a little bit, but they had the time to practice.
Yeah,
and they got
time.
it.
Yeah.
The only reason I have them at 3, they probably could be 1. They could definitely be at 2. The only reason I have them at 3 is one reason. Do you know what the reason is? They mentioned it. They mentioned what their weaknesses is.
Oh, yeah, because they're both type A personalities. Exactly. So, like, eventually that's going to come to blows at some point. I mean, you can already see that, though. But they kind of keep it in check with each other. Yeah. Because,
Big bro's 8 years older, little bro, they definitely push each other around a little bit. They definitely, mess with each other. He said, and you and I can both relate, they have a sibling who's way older or way younger. They don't really know each other that well. Mm-hmm. Like the one who was the way younger one, or in your case, the one who's way older one, in my case, know our siblings pretty well.
Yeah.
But like the ones who are the older, or who, whatever, the ones who are closer to each other know each other better than the ones who are the outlier, like you and me.
Right.
And like I said, I definitely can see the older brother, pushing the little brother a little bit. I can see him just punching him back and like, stop. And he's been taking it pretty well. They've been, going. He's been in the older brother's been leading. Mm-hmm. But I can see it not happening that way on a couple legs, and then they're too busy arguing to get along, and things fall apart.
Right. I mean, because the individual, when they do the roadblocks, when it's the one person, that one they're not going to be able to argue as much. But once they get to those detours, that's when it's going to go off, possibly.
Sure. And they're both super strong, both super fit, good at the challenges. It's just will the communication last? Yeah. And that's my only fear with them. I think if the communication lasts, they have a great shot to win the race.
Yep.
If it doesn't, it's going to be tough.
Yep.
And that's why they're 3 instead of 1 or 2.
Yep.
Who's number 2?
Number 2, T for 2 for T.
Exactly.
Team BB Big Brother.
Yeah.
Derek and Claire.
Yeah, they're number 2 again. Like they were the same last week.
Yeah, I mean, they should have probably won first this leg, but she obviously, we said, was tone deaf and cannot yodel, and she can't get hey tee, but that wasn't, she got that part. I mean, they work well together too, though. They really, even with them being so far behind, there wasn't much arguments or anything. They were just trying to focus and get back onto it.
Yeah, they got along pretty well. Except it was a bad challenge for them. It wasn't in their strength. And like I said, they do handle the cameras really well. They handle the fact they're on TV really well. That's not because they're used to it. Big Brother's 24 hours a day.
Yeah, they did the bells very well though. They did that in like 1 or 2 tries.
And it's one of those things where if you get really behind, can you make it up? And they left the bells in 10th or not the bells. They left the yodeling in 10th place.
Yeah,
and they finished what, 4th?
4th. Yep.
So that's huge.
Yeah.
To be able to do that is huge. Mm-hmm. So they're a solid team, and they finished first leg, finished 4th, second leg. So I feel comfortable playing them in second for sure.
Yeah. No, they did well.
And then our number 1 team, who finished, I think they finished second again.
Yes.
Second time in a row they finished second.
Yes.
And they're our number 1 team though because they have the highest finish rate.
Right. And probably my new winner picks, let's be honest.
For sure.
They're my second team I'm rooting for when eventually mine gets knocked
Same.
out, because let's be honest.
Same. I love
Number 1, Glenda and Loomba, which now I can remember because it rhymes. Glenda and Loomba. They're hilarious.
They're great.
I mean, I was shocked that they picked the dancing, obviously because of the height difference. I know, like you said, they got the rhythm, and they did get it down. It took them a couple times. But the yodeling, too, like, man... She picked up the accent, which it's I want to say it's controversial because some people get mad when other people pick up a person's accent even though they're speaking that language. But I mean, you're speaking the language of that country, and like you could just hear it in her voice. She did well with it, and some people can pick up languages really well, and it was good.
Yeah, they're great. They're really good. I mean, they said they only known each other for like 2 years. They're married for a year. So, like, it's crazy that, and they're also still learning each other and their chemistry. And obviously, they messed up a couple of things here, but they got over it pretty quickly and moved on, and that was it. There was really no arguing.
No.
Again, it's one of those things where I remember there was the season where it was married couples or dating couples and then blind dates. People were set up at the starting line, and people who were dating long term. And the couples who were blind dates, they're meeting for it, did the best. And the team that won, they both were attracted to each other, but they're like, if we're gonna date, let's date after the race. Let's win the money, then we'll date. If we want to date, it's fine, whatever. But let's not even think about it. Let's just focus on the race. Mm-hmm. And they did, and they won. And it was super smart. It was a super smart way to do it.
So I mean, I'm a girl. Did they date after the show?
I don't know.
Well, what the hell?
I don't know.
I want you to be able to answer that question.
Okay, I think they did for a short while, but they didn't really. I mean, they were mostly just friends. I don't really think. I think they went out a couple days and then decided to be friends. I really think that's what happened.
So they just had to do something else and get it out of their system, and then they were good.
I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know what. Again, I wasn't there, but they. I think.
Spill the tea.
You can look it up. I can give you their names so you can look them up. But they did good, and they won the race because they were there just to focus on the race. Yeah. And I think these two, if they can just do that, if there's obviously learning each other and that's important and that's good for the relationship, but if they can just literally if it's like I said before, if all things considered, they're the strongest team. I think. It's like like I said, we were talking about football earlier, and if you take out injuries, some teams are just gonna be super strong and they're just gonna dominate, but injuries are the great equalizer. And this communication is a great equalizer. Yeah. Attention to detail is a great equalizer. If you have one bad leg, one bad taxi cab driver, you don't communicate well one time, you could be out. But if everybody's the same on all those levels, and nobody's better than anybody else at any of those things, all things considered, who's the best team? And I think this team is the best team.
Yeah, I can agree. Everybody has good legs on this show, though.
Unlike on Survivor this season. Boom.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. On that cheerful note, yeah, that's all I gotta say.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Anything else, Jessica?
80. Yes. Awesome. I want to learn the yodel, let's just say.
Perfect.
Okay.
Anything else?
No.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being part of it. Thanks for being the co-host. And actually, I think one of these episodes, I think Jessica's just going to take over and just start running it because I think she's ready. Go ahead and let us know in the comments what you think. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss anything. You can like our Facebook page. It's Pavement Road Production on Facebook. Pavement Road Prod on Facebook.
Pavement?
Exactly. And you can email the show directly, pavementroadproductions@gmail.com. Let us know what you think. We'll have to get your comments in the show. If you know friends who like the show, let them know. Amazing Race has been really huge for us on this channel, so I appreciate you listening. And a lot of people do other shows, but not a lot of people seem to cover the Amazing Race. So I'm glad that we can do that and get this content out for you. Be sure to subscribe, like I said, and share the post and everything like that. We'll have the Survivor show out probably next day or so. I'm going to try to have a guest on this week, so hopefully that works out. But anything else, Jessica?
No, not except I'm just going to go yodel somewhere.
Sounds good. Go do that. I'm going to go to bed. And thanks for listening and thanks for being a part of the show. And until next time, safe travels.